This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Okay, so I don't want to get too heavy-handed with this one because it's like a Minecraft spin-off, it's $20 US, it's a Game Pass game, it's a kids game, etc, right? So the stakes are really low, but at the same time, I really hated this game a lot and I definitely don't recommend it to you. But like I said, don't worry too much about that. Like it's not a big deal, okay? Let me explain Minecraft Dungeons. So Minecraft Dungeons is what I would call baby's first ARPG. It's like, you know, your Diablos and your Path of Exiles, etc., except way simpler and way smaller. You get dropped on the map, or I should say you sort of choose a mission from a map, you load into it, you run from one end to the other, you kill the bad guys, loot drops, but not a lot, we'll come back to that. You press the map button and it does the little sort of Diablo style overlay. It does all the things that you're used to for an ARPG, but it's just really very simple and very streamlined, and also very short. So this is the starting point of the discussion. This game is 9 levels long, literally 9 maps. They're pretty short. I finished this game in 3 hours with the normal difficulty. There are 2 additional difficulties you can do on top of that. It's a short game, man. So if you really want to set aside like just 3 hours to knock it over, cool. Don't expect it to last any more than that. One thing that's supposed to prolong the playtime is the fact that it's procedurally generated. But even then, I just found a lot of repetition because sometimes I would die and have to do levels again, or I did levels again when I was playing through the next difficulty tier. You just see a lot of very familiar space. You know, it doesn't really mix it up a lot from what I can tell. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it just, yeah, it didn't feel like the procedural generation was very ambitious. Maybe some parts of it are procedural in terms of what's connecting the major hubs, but when you get to sort of some of the major objective focused areas on the map, they all kind of look the same from what I saw. One of the big problems I had with the game is that I just didn't like the combat at all, in fact. So it's you basically have a weapon that you swing, and then you have a ranged weapon, usually just like a bow, a crossbow, whatever. The diversity in the combat is meant to come from your relics. You can equip 3 of them at any point in time, and they are your abilities, your activatables, etc. The problem with this is that they kind of combine like survivability and damage dealing and healing. So for myself, I was a melee character, and because I've always had lots of enemies around me dealing damage, I kind of needed to have something that stunned enemies. I needed to have something that healed me, and then I would have something else. And I ended up just taking like this llama pet thing where I'd summon a llama and he would just follow me around the level, okay? So at that point, I don't really have any interesting activatables. I'm just like swinging my melee weapon and I'm stunning enemies every now and then, and I'm healing when I need to, and the llama follows me. Like, that's the kit, you know what I mean? So you can have more interesting stuff, like if you're an archer, you can have activatable arrow types like fire arrows or whatever. If you wanted to do more like a spell casting build, there's the option to, yeah, have like something that does an AoE explosion around you or a focus beam. There's a little bit of that comes through, but overall, combat just doesn't feel satisfying or interesting or cool or great. Like, I never once cleared out a room in this game and thought, well, that was cool. Like, that just never happened, you know? I was always like, cool, I swung the weapon enough and I didn't die. That's the game, you know? So, yeah. This becomes more frustrating when you kind of bump into the way this game handles level design and enemy placement. Some rooms you'll walk into and it's like, cool, I just do my thing, kill them, fine, no problem. Some rooms you walk into and you're just being swarmed by like dozens of ranged enemies. And if you're a melee focused character, there's not a lot you can do in that instance. Like, you're pretty boned. And sometimes you'll be surrounded by so many enemies, you just can't move, you can't do anything, and you kind of just get, again, KO'd. There's a roll button, but for some reason, the roll doesn't actually roll you through enemies. So there are a lot of instances where you just get surrounded and just beaten down when this roll should ideally be able to reposition you, and it doesn't, and it doesn't make sense why. The roll also stops you from like running for a few seconds afterwards. So rather than kind of like speeding up the gameplay and making it fast and interesting and fun, it's kind of like you don't want to use the roll as often because you're like, oh, I have to move around at a snail's pace after that. It's not fun. And I'm like, well, why did you do that? Like, that roll should get you out of trouble, and it should also help speed things up. And it kind of doesn't do either of those things most of the time. The biggest issue though is just the level layout and sort of navigating the levels. What will so often happen in this game is that you will click on terrain above you because of the way that they've positioned the camera and the levels and whatever else, right? So here you see that I'm trying to get up to this point, but because I'm clicking on this hill that's in the foreground, I'm moving to the wrong place. This happens all the time. It's like, why is that clickable? Like, obviously as a player, I don't want to go to this hill. I can't even get there. It's just decoration, but it's messing with my gameplay. And this happens so often. I died so many times because I'm trying to move out the way of something, but I'll accidentally click on some piece of terrain somewhere, and then I'll go to the wrong place and immediately die. And also just moving your character around, because the levels are quite blocky, they sort of just move in an unpredictable sort of way. It just doesn't flow well, doesn't feel good. I get they're going for the whole like Minecraft aesthetic and they want that to stick. I get that, but the result is like navigating these levels is a chore. Like it really is. Yeah, I didn't like it. The other thing is that exploration is really lacking. You know how in these ARPGs, you'll have like, oh, I've got to go that way and I'll explore this area and explore that area, and like, oh, cool, I know I have to go that way, but I'll just check out this cave and whatever, or this like little path that leads off this way and I'll get some stuff. Usually when you go down those paths, there's just nothing there. And I mean sometimes, literally nothing, like not even any enemies. And if you do that, sometimes you might find enemies, but enemies almost never drop loot in this game. That's another thing. Like, there's just no loot dropping. It's an ARPG and there's no loot, you know? I think on average, each level, you might get two items to drop. Even when you kill sort of like those high-level enemies that have the affixes and whatever, they most of the time don't drop loot. They just give you more experience. And then you go back to camp and you spend your coins or whatever to get random loot rolls. So, I mean, we've learnt this lesson with like Destiny, for example. Buying your gear is boring. You want it to drop from bosses or whatever and be like, whoa, that's amazing. And again, that just doesn't happen here. I know I'm really on a roll with all the little like nitpicking stuff, but they really add up, right? There are some basic decisions made that just make this game less fun. Like, for example, your potion is on this massive cooldown, like massive. So, you know, you'll take a lot of damage, very common. You use your potion, cool, take some more damage, and then you can't really advance in the level because you've got no way of healing yourself and you're too low on health. So you kind of just have to stand there waiting for that potion to come back, and then you can progress onwards. You'll fight some enemies and there's no way to really engage them other than to just run away from them for a while. And when they're doing their animation, you can then go up to them and hit them and then keep running away from them. Like, that's how you play the game, and it's not fun. Like, there's just a lot of those little decisions, those little things that all pile up to create this very frustrating, not fun experience. It's also super buggy, like super buggy. So very often enemies would get caught on terrain. Enemies would fall through the world. I would get caught on terrain, as I discussed earlier. There were graphical glitches. Almost every time I completed a mission, I got disconnected from the servers and I'd have to reload into the game. And I'm not exaggerating, like almost every time. I've played this game for like, you know, 4-5 hours. I think I must have been disconnected at least 10 times in that time. So this game is not finished from a bugs perspective, and it's also not finished from a content perspective, because there's on the map, you can see that they're getting ready to sell you DLC. They're like, hey, this portal will open up soon and you can buy additional levels. And it's like, all right, even on the starting thing, when you're creating a character, they're like, here are all the skins. Oh, by the way, these are DLC characters that you have to buy, I guess. Like, why are you selling DLC characters for this little $20 9-level video game? Why? Why? I don't understand. So the worst part about it though is that like there's just nothing remotely Minecraft about this other than its skin, which is, yeah, cool. You have the zombies and stuff, and you have the pickaxe in there. It looks like Minecraft, but there's nothing in terms of the gameplay that is Minecraft. You can't build anything, you can't destroy. There's nothing destructible in this entire game. Not even like a barrel you can destroy, nothing. Everything is completely static. You would have thought, given Minecraft's DNA, they would have done something with destructible environments or being able to build yourself some kind of little fort or something to prepare for an enemy onslaught or whatever. It's nothing like that, you know? And so it just is really not good. As I said, I finished it in 3 and a bit hours. Played a little bit more after that, some additional difficulty stuff. I don't want to play any more of it. It's obviously on Game Pass, but the point is that it's just not worth your time, I don't think. There are so many other games you could play on Game Pass that I'd absolutely recommend. I would not recommend this game. This is not worth your 3.5, 4 hours or whatever. And even for kids, there are so many better games for kids that you could give them. If I had a kid, I would not give them Minecraft Dungeons. I would give them Minecraft or all the other stuff that's on Game Pass, not this. So anyway, like I said though, let's not get too carried away. It's a very small throwaway title. I came down on it really hard here because I was just like, here's what I think about it. Could you have some fun with this game? If you really love Minecraft, sure, I guess maybe. If you're looking for a co-op game to play, yes, just drop the difficulty and play through it with your friends, because it is co-op obviously. You can have a few laughs for a few hours and that's it, you're done. Outside of that, no, I don't think this is good. Anyway, that's my video. Yeah, see you next time, bye. This video is brought to you by Squarespace. If you have a hobby, a business idea, or you just want to share things with the world, then a website is a must, and there's no easier way to make a website than through Squarespace. Squarespace offers tools so easy to use that in just minutes, you can create a professional looking website. Log in, select one of their custom design templates, configure it to your taste, host it with Squarespace, and boom, you are up and running in no time. To get started, visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to get serious, visit squarespace.com/skillup for a 10% discount on your first purchase of a website or a domain name. Thanks Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching it. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down so I know to do better for next time. If you enjoyed yourself, consider subscribing, and if you really enjoyed yourself, maybe consider hitting that notification bell so you never miss a video. You can see my patrons here on the left. They're awesome. They're amazing. If you want to join them, check out my Patreon page. Thank you again. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.